I want people to give a shit. And a talk about our team, I want you to give a shit about our clients, give a shit about the campaigns you deliver. The big one is give a shit about each other.
Now today we have another renowned guest for you, Simon Jamieson, who's the Managing Director of the Marketing Lounge Partnership, a leading customer loyalty agency helping brands build lasting relationships that go well beyond the first sale.
Why are you passionate about customer loyalty?
I think loyalty is a really interesting one for me. It stems from my early career.
From his early days at the UK's first internet bank to running campaigns across banking, energy and travel.
So tell us a little bit more about how loyalty programs integrate into that sort of customer life cycle.
I think a loyalty program's purpose should be getting customers to behave in the way that you want them to behave. I understand that customers therefore will decide where to go based on price, how quickly you can get it. If everyone can deliver everything instantly, same product service, why would we be loyal? Is the question.
Simon lives with one core idea: give customers a happy heart and a happy wallet. This is going to be a great episode, so let's dive right in.
Welcome, Si. Fabulous to have you with us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
It is genuinely our pleasure. I know this is going to be a great conversation. So let's get started. What's keeping you busy these days, Si?
The usual stuff in life, really. Family, work. Running an agency is generally the thing that I do on a day-to-day basis, which tends to be working with our existing clients and our people who work with our clients to solve their problems ultimately. And yeah, it's a great way to make a living, really.
What I love is the fact that you guys specialize in the realm of customer loyalty.
Yeah.
Why are you passionate about customer loyalty?
I think loyalty is a really interesting one for me, and it stems from my early career. So I started at an internet bank many years ago, and it is really many years ago when you think about it, called Smile, and it was the first internet bank in the UK, and had this really amazing leader, a guy called Bob Head, and he used to talk about this idea of, when the internet age comes, this idea of one-to-one connection is with a brand, and the human behind the brand is starting to disappear. So we have to re-engineer it somehow. And he used to talk about our job is to give customers a happy heart and a happy wallet. And in that, he was really, really forward thinking when you think about this. This was before your Monzos, before any of these startups. And it struck a chord with me. It just made me think, actually, yeah, in this age where we're more promiscuous, in this age where...
What are you talking about there, son?
In this age when we are, we're brand promiscuous and job promiscuous in some ways, and yeah, maybe promiscuous in other ways. The idea of trying to engineer relationships with someone and make them more sticky just really appealed to me, and it's something that I've always felt passionate about, and something that I feel it's almost a mission for me to try and help build those relationships for brands and people, in essence.
Happy heart, happy wallet. Nice line. But I know it goes a bit deeper for you, because when you talk about mission, I'd love you to talk about creating positive emotions, where that comes from, what it means, how you live it, because you are one of the most mission-oriented people I've ever met. So tell us more.
Yeah. Creating positive emotions is something that I decided many years ago was something that I wanted to kind of follow a dream. We can all follow these dreams of, and in your 20s, your career mindset is, I want to get the highest I can in an organisation. I want to make the most money, and I tried to do that, and that was my 20s, and I got to the kind of maybe 30s, and I'm kind of read lots of books, and I felt that I could have an impact bigger than that somehow, and not an impact on the world or anything like that, just an impact on a day-to-day basis. How can I create positive emotions for other people and make them feel good? Because actually, that makes me feel good too. And there's loads of research that says, that if you give someone a gift, serotonin in your own brain,
the helper's high.
The helper's high, 100%. And as I developed that idea and thought process, and you helped me define that. Me and you had some discussions, and during our conversations, you helped me define, well, actually living with purpose is a success measure for me. Living with purpose is something that makes me get out of bed every day. And the idea of creating positive emotions links so well with what I do on a day-to-day basis within our company. So I genuinely believe that if a brand can create positive emotions with a customer, that customer will stay with them longer and buy more stuff off them.
Si, we're going to get back to the company stuff, but I think it's really resonant as you describe your own personal purpose. So how do you live and breathe that personal purpose in your life, in your personal life, in you as a leader, how you show up every day, you as a client owner? How do you do that?
Again, I think there's a big part of me that wants to go into a client and, be good to work with, be fun to work with. I think that's a really important skill, actually.
So true.
Being someone who's a nightmare to work with never pans out well.
Being an asshole doesn't work out.
Doesn't.
It's so true.
So walking into a client and just going into them and going, right, not taking yourself too seriously, right? We're here to solve a problem. Let's work it out together. There's a big power in the collective, and being on the same page and having the same objectives. We've worked with some clients who are hard to work with and can be difficult. And sometimes you have to say goodbye to those clients because they're not on the same page as you and they don't believe the same things that you believe. And if you're jarring on those two things, you're never going to get the best out of that relationship. If you are aligned and you both believe in the same thing, and you both believe in investing in the customer, you both believe in creating positive emotions with your customer, you believe in the long-term aim of long-term customer value rather than short-term metrics, then actually you will both have the best outcomes. And it's the same in our business culturally. I have a saying, which I don't know whether I'm allowed to swear in here, but I will do anyway, which is, I want people to give a shit. And a talk about our team, I want you to give a shit about our clients, give a shit about the campaigns you deliver. But the big one is, give a shit about each other. If someone is struggling next to you, understand why. Find out, help them. That's our job. And if you do all them things, good stuff will happen. We will create amazing campaigns. We will have clients that love us. And actually, you'll have fun in your job with the person sat next to you who knows they're going to be there in the trenches with you too.
Hallelujah to all of that. Yeah, and it shines through in every interaction that we have with you, Simon. And so you said something there about let's solve a problem.
Yep.
And so if we go back to loyalty, and it is an interesting problem in a way, the relationship between a brand and its customers. It shouldn't be hard, but it is. Why is it such a tricky problem to crack this? You mentioned about short term and so on, but what's your perspective on why it's a problem?
I think I think the world has changed. Let's talk about it. The world has changed over the last 30 years and longer. The brands used to interact with customers in a very different way, and there was a front face to a lot of the brands. You'll remember back in the day. I often talk about my mum. My mum used to go to TSB Bank in where we used to live in Liverpool, and she still talks about this guy now. Used to have this bank manager. I can't quite remember his name. She was like, oh, he was amazing. I used to ring him up on a Monday morning if I needed a loan, and he'd have it in my bank account in the afternoon, no questions asked. It's like, God, he's good. And
you should have definitely remember his name.
I know. and he but he was the face of the brand. Same when you went to the travel agent. You didn't have this multitude of information that you have now. So you relied on the travel agent to tell you where it was good to go and tell you which hotel to go to. And if they did it well, you trusted them. You went back to them, and they were in essence the front face of that brand. Now it's so easy. We've got but information is commoditised. It's so easy to find out everything about every hotel, every brand you work with. There's 10 brands offering the same product or service. So I understand that customers therefore will decide where to go based on the price, how quickly you can get it. If everyone can deliver everything instantly, same product service, why would we be loyal? Is the question. But I think the brand now is about building relationships and making customer want to come back to you. It's a little bit like a personal relationship. If you think about a friend who you've texted and you need a favour off them, if you haven't texted them for 2 years and then suddenly you ask them for a favour, what are they going to do? Probably not help you. Whereas if actually you've built a relationship and built a rapport and give them stuff along the journey and make them feel a warmth towards me, reached out every now and again, say, how are you? How's life? Then actually, when I do ask for that favour, they're going to be there for me. And it's the same with a brand relationship, in my opinion. Brand needs to be there for you and show they listen, show they care, say thanks when you buy stuff off them. Say thanks again when you buy more stuff off them. And if you do that, then that customer is going to be more inclined to stick with you than move elsewhere.
So it sounds so simple, but actually quite hard to pull off. But tell us about some banging examples that you've experienced where this has really cracked it.
I think there's some amazing brands who do this. We're at a time-wise, I know, am I okay talking about the oil and all that type of stuff? I know that's dated a little bit, but a great example actually I saw yesterday, and it was Greg Jackson, CEO of Octopus Energy. And at the moment, there's obviously lots of things going on in the Middle East, which is impacting oil and gas prices. And what he did brilliantly yesterday was he went online, unscripted, quick message to explain what was happening to the customer base and explain how it would impact them. Explained, if you're on a fixed rate tariff, you'll be okay for now, but prices may go up. He then explains if you're on a variable rate tariff, this is what's going to happen. Your price, he explained about the price cap. He also was authentic enough to say, I don't know how all this is going to pan out. Now, to me, that is amazing messaging from a CEO of a major organisation, being truthful, honest, transparent, trustworthy, looking out for his customers. That is the epitome of showing that you care about your customer base.
Today's program is brought to you by two fantastic organizations. First up is Studio Space, a leading on-demand marketing agency platform. Studio Space gives marketers complete control over their projects, from matching the right agency to your brief, to managing contracts and invoicing, and even tracking all of your spend data all in the one place. They take care of everything and it's totally hassle-free. They even guarantee the work. So check out Studio Space today. Our second sponsor is the Marketing Skills Trust, a charity with a mission to make marketing a better place for everyone. They provide grants to help create a more equitable industry and support initiatives that really do drive diversity, inclusion, and create opportunity. The trust has been instrumental in leveling up the marketing skills across the board. And do take a look at their website for more information. Now, let's get on with the show.
I mean, Octopus Energy really is, at the forefront of delivering for their customers, and it actually shows in their results, which I think really plays to your point in and around look after your customers and they sort of look after you. And I love that thought notion of transparency. I know the other thing that is certainly front of mind that you talk of is this role of having a loyalty cake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Explain what's the loyalty cake.
Yeah, loyalty, the loyalty layer cake.
Yeah.
The loyalty layer cake. So, I've got a terrible sweet tooth. Like,
don't worry. So that's all.
We have, my mum's got a famous, we call it the sweetie drawer, and therefore everyone in our family's got a terrible sweet tooth, because basically whenever you go to my mum's, there's chocolate everywhere, cakes everywhere.
And you've got a large family, haven't you?
Yeah. My mum's 1 of 9, my dad's 1 of 9. And then I've got, so we've got loads of cousins. And
amazing.
Huge family.
Lots in the sweetie drawer.
Yeah, lots in the sweetie drawer, yeah. So this loyalty layer cake is, in essence, the idea of, one of the big questions I always get asked is, do we need a loyalty program? And, I run a loyalty agency, so when people ask me that, I'm like, what, the answer I should give is yes, 100%. But actually the answer that I do give is, it depends. And it depends whether you've got the rest of the cake right. And when I talk about the loyalty layer cake, it's you've got 4 layers of a cake. And this goes back to classic marketing. You've got your price, you've got your product, you've got your service, and then you've got your brand and purpose. And they, in essence, form the layers of a cake. Now, if you've created an amazing piece of cake with those brilliant 4 layers, your price is bang on, not too high, not for your industry, not too high, not too low. You've created a great product and service. You've got a brilliant service proposition where you care about your customers. You've got a brand that people can get behind and has a purpose and people believe in. Well, actually, you've created a lovely piece of cake, a lovely piece of Victoria sponge. And you don't necessarily need, at that point, the lovely icing on top. But if you've created those brilliant 4 layers and then you put a lovely piece of icing on top, which I call, that can be the loyalty program itself. And what the loyalty program is, that brings it all together. That's your vehicle for delivering more of the purpose and the taste of the cake.
Yeah.
Now, the counter to that is, some people build a really lovely icing and build a lovely loyalty program, but they don't get the layers of the cake right. So you've got really nice icing and a really dry, horrible cake.
That never works.
Never works. I'm thinking lipstick on the pig as sort of slightly more crass metaphor. want to talk a bit about airlines. We had Annabelle Cordelli on here a while back. She made a great observation that there are two types of loyalty programs: those that use excess capacity, those that create cost. I thought that was such an insightful perspective. But I mean, straightforward, the airlines seem to do a banging job in this space. So what's your take on that sector in regards to loyalty?
Yeah, I think airlines are, in the history of loyalty programs, airlines were particularly forward facing. They created programs in the 1980s before anyone else was doing them. So I think the key with that industry is they've learned a lot over the last 40, 50 years. And I think the airlines that do it well also overlay other nice sprinklings as well. So, in fact,
cherry on the
cake. Cherry on the cake. Yeah. This cake keeps on getting on. Yeah.
I'm hungry now.
Yeah, it's. In fact, I read a post. Virgin's a great example. We flew with Virgin about just around Christmas time. Bit of a nightmare scenario. Visa problems. Me and the wife, me and my wife and the kids were having to be split up on a flight because we hadn't got a visa.
You're in business, and
it was actually we weren't going to get on the flight.
Oops.
So we weren't going to get on the flight. So me and my two boys had our visa through. Emma and my other boy didn't have the visa through. It was all a bit of an emergency situation. Had to get the visas there quickly, and Annabelle hopefully will like this story. The staff at Virgin were unbelievable. Like I had to go and get on board on the flight. My wife had to stay and wait at the desk while the visa came through. They gave us till we were boarding this flight at 2:00. The visa came through at 1:30, and they literally ran through the airport. Two staff members from Virgin ran through the airport with their cases to get my wife and son on the flight.
Wow.
Now, that is true customer service, and that made me love Virgin even more than I did before. And they have a brilliant loyalty program that gives you the points and gives you all the bells and whistles, which makes you want to fly with them more than others, which we do. But actually, the cherry on top was that experience.
It's so true. Amazing that they did that. Well done, Virgin. It's interesting because just a few weeks ago, talk about airlines. Me and Mark attended this amazing event with Cathay Pacific.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Lisa Delaney who invited us along, and it was with an evening with Simon Squibb.
Yep.
Amazing. London Palladium. A packed out sort of venue to hear sort of Simon's story. And I just thought, and that was a membership proposition, by the way. Yeah. So it was literally anyone who was part of their membership club card or whatever it was allowed to attend this event. And I thought, what an amazing thing that an airline could do for their members.
Yeah.
Moving on slightly, one thing that I think is loyalty programs get a bad rap. For one thing in particular is the perception is that it's all about customer retention. And it only happens at the last mode before someone's deciding whether to leave or to stay.
Yep.
But actually, a loyalty program goes and cuts through the entire customer life cycle, even as close as acquisition. I mean, think about the Tesco Club Card today.
Yeah.
It's all about acquisition. So tell us a little bit more about how loyalty programs integrate into that sort of customer life cycle.
Yeah, of course. I think there's a perception. I think there's two things with loyalty, two misconceptions, I suppose, with loyalty, and that is it's all about churn reduction, getting people to stop switching brands, all that type of stuff. And it's not that at all. Actually, what it's about is one is differentiation. So I think it's really, really interesting how a loyalty program can differentiate a brand from other commoditised in a more commoditised world, and in areas where everything is more commoditised, it gives the opportunity to do and be something different and offer something customers can't get elsewhere. A good example is, someone like Vitality is a great example, actually. Vitality, and Vitality is a good example for two reasons. One, they've created the differentiation of having a program that rewards you for being fit and active. But actually, what I think the other part of a loyalty program's purpose should be is getting customers to behave in the way that you want them to behave. So I almost define it as a loyalty program is now the engine of behavioural science. So if we want a customer to act in a certain way, create a loyalty program that nudges them to act in that way you want. So with something like Vitality, we want customers to be fit and healthier. So let's reward them for being fit and healthier. Now, there's a customer benefit to that, but also there's a business benefit to that. The business benefit is the people get less ill, and therefore there's less requirement for that company to pay out, and they become more profitable. So it's about matching the customer benefit with the business benefit and creating a vehicle to deliver it.
I love that. It's the Vitality example is a great one, and it truly is enlightened self-interest.
Yeah.
And I know it comes very deeply from Adrian Gore as the founder, and his beliefs and the company's beliefs. Just on the behavioural science thing and nudges, anything further to add? Give us a few more examples, because behavioural science is often talked about, but it's sometimes quite hard to put into practice. So any other examples that come to mind about where that's come forward?
Yeah, there's a number of facets of behavioural science. Actually, the example you gave before, Richie, of Cathay Pacific's a good one in terms of kind of scarcity and exclusivity. That's another behavioural science piece, and the idea that you can make a customer feel special, like with that example, is brilliant. And in the world of AI, I think that even becomes more relevant.
So true.
So a brand saying to a customer, come to this event, come and experience us, we will make you feel special, is brilliant. That's something that customer will remember. You're creating memories for the customer. You're creating serotonin in the brain that links to the brand. And that's another good example. The classic one, and I'm not a duolinguist. My wife actually was a Spanish teacher. She loves Duolingo, and I think she's on a streak of, I wouldn't even like to say it's like 400 and odd.
Wow. Go her.
Learning Greek, and what Duolingo have done brilliantly is the idea of using loss aversion. The idea of losing your streak.
Yeah.
And they've done it really creatively, brilliantly as well. The character cries or gets upset when if you start to if it's looking like you're going to miss your streak, or your streak starts to diminish, and that's just a little behavioural nudge to get someone to maintain use of the app. Really, really simple, really clever, and it works. Lots of businesses do that already. Every coffee card you see comes with the first stamp. And the reason it comes with the first stamp is for the progress effect. So people get the first one and the stamp's already there, and it wills them to try and get more. And these are all just little behavioural nudges that we're trying to tap into in order to get the customer to do what we want them to do.
Some lovely examples. I really, really enjoyed that. And Duolingo, definitely, the streaks is a really good behavioral science example. There was a lovely talk by the founder of Duolingo on TED.
Yeah.
And he talked about the success of streaks and how it's transformed their business. So it really does have a dual dual impact on the customer and the commercial impact of the organization.
Yeah. Well, we've actually used it in the banking industry quite a lot. Yeah. So we've used it to nudge people to keep spending on the card. You know, spend on your card X amount of times, and you'll be entered into prize draws, or you'll get rewarded. And again, it works brilliantly well.
So look, we've clearly touted the merits of loyalty, but there are some people in thought leadership who sort of suggest that actually, does loyalty truly create incrementality? Yep. That's part one. And part two, of course, if you look at the Byron Sharp methodology, it's in and around penetration. But I want to tackle the first one around measurement, because that's going to be front in mind of people's thought processes around, I've got this program, how do I prove incrementality? And what are some of the techniques that you use to be able to do that?
I think it's becoming increasingly better to measure, and I love data, but I'm also a person who works on instinct too. And I think whenever we now create a loyalty program, one of our biggest jobs now is helping companies create a business case for a loyalty program. And it's actually not that hard to create a business case for a loyalty program. It's not as hard as you think. Because at the end of the day, it's a bit like the old adage of, get one customer to buy two products as opposed to getting many customers through the door. And it often costs more to acquire a new customer than it does to get an existing one to interact with you more. So the business case actually is generally quite easy to build, because all we're doing is we're using those behavioural methodologies to nudge your customer into the behaviours we want them to deliver. Now, it just so happens those behaviours that we want them to deliver are the ones that drive the most profit. Or not necessarily the most profit, but actually can have an impact on the cost of the business, for example. So, again, an old classic 20 years ago was every bank wanted customers to move to online statements.
Yeah.
Why? Because it saved them an absolute fortune. Well, by nudging a customer to do that and rewarding them to do that, actually it's cost savings to the business. So we often used to run programs to say, opt in for statement pausing, etc., etc. You'll get entered into a competition. You'll be rewarded with a free coffee. And actually, customers did it because they got something out of it. But actually, the business benefited massively from the cost saving in the long term. The same with driving profitable behaviours. We can identify, based on data, what those profitable behaviours are, and we nudge customers to follow those profitable behaviours. That might be buying more products. It might be interacting on social. It might be doing, signing up to a e-newsletter. It can be whatever we want, as long as we know that data is profitable to the business.
Love that. I'm going to go off piste a tiny bit and find out a little bit more about your Dragon's Den experience. Not many people have been on Dragon's Den and lived to tell the tale.
Yeah.
So what was it for you?
So yeah, it was me late 20s. So, and it's
what, last year you mean?
I wish. So, actually, and I was reading your book, actually, Climb, and I was reading your post a few days back, Mark, on LinkedIn about Climb, and something struck a chord. Actually, in one of the things you said, and I'd spent 10 years in the corporate environment. I'd worked for Smile. I'd done, that was quite a startup mentality. Then I'd moved into HSBC Group, and I'd worked for Co-op Group and done various marketing roles. And I loved it. I learned so much during that 10 years. And I got to the end of that 10-year period, and I just had my son, who was 6 months old. I was like, something doesn't feel right. I didn't feel like I was being myself. I felt a little bit hemmed in that environment. And I was chatting to a boss, an old boss of mine. I was like, I just feel like I need to do something a bit, like, I need to have a side hustle, I need to do something. I was like, okay, well, let's sit down in the kitchen and see what we can come up with. So we literally sat in his kitchen, a guy called Alan Brown, sat in his kitchen, and we wrote down a load of problems in the world, problems that things that we thought didn't work, problems that we thought we could overcome from a customer perspective. And this idea came about, which was around gift cards. And I'd done bits and bobs of gift card activity during my time in corporate world, using them in acquisition activities. And I was like, when you read up, there was like something like £9 billion worth of gift cards left in drawers and wallets that had never been used. I was like, there's got to be something we can do there. So we come with this idea of it was called gift card converter, and it was the idea that you could buy, sell, swap gift cards between people. So if you had an M&S card and I had a Hobbycraft card, and I was never going to go to Hobbycraft, I could actually say to you, Rich, do you want to swap? So I know you're into your art and crafts. So we come up with this idea. Went, right, okay, let's launch it. So we did. We launched this website within about 6 weeks. It was just a little side hustle going on while I was doing my job. And sort of, I think it was in the newspaper. It was like, enter to be on Dragon's Den. Like, should we do it? Yeah, come on, let's see what happens. If anything, it's a bit of PR. So we entered and we went for an interview, and we kept on getting through each round. And then she said, right, we want you to be on the programme. You're like, all right. I best tell work. So I had to then go and give them the due. I was working for HSBC Group at the time, and I had to go and explain to my boss that I was doing this side hustle and I was going to be on Dragon's Den. They were like, are you serious? I was like, yeah. And I thought they might actually get rid of me at that point. I thought it was a bit of a risk. But to be fair, the management team at the time were like, listen, yeah, as long as you don't mention who you work for and, you go on it, that's fine. So went on Dragon's Den. It was a brilliant experience, like absolutely amazing experience. It was the olden days, so it was Deborah Meaden and who else was on it?
Must be Peter Jones.
Peter Jones was on it, and a few of the old classics. And it was, it's the experience is really surreal. We were on the TV for 15 minutes, but actually you're in there for a good amount of time. I mean, we had to prepare, business cases. We had to prepare our marketing plan. They'd stop and they'd want to see your marketing plan. They'd want to kind of investigate what contracts you had, and it was actually a real insight into the detail that they wanted. And unfortunately, we didn't get the money at the end, but we had real strong interest from Deborah Meaden at the time. And we actually met her afterwards. She came to Alan's kitchen again, and we met her up afterwards. And she gave us lots of brilliant advice. And in hindsight, the idea wasn't quite right. It needed so much investment. It was, and at the time, the gift card market was very physical. The business model, we were making tiny margins, and on each one, it just wasn't a viable business in the long term. But it actually taught me a lot, because it taught me about the questions they were asking. It taught me how to pitch. It taught me how to kind of understand an entrepreneurial mindset. And really, kind of opened my eyes to the opportunity. And not long after that, I left the corporate world.
Wow.
That's a lovely answer. And you mentioned a book in all of that. I mean, it might have been this one. Apparently, it's really good.
Yeah.
Anyway, there we go. Just thought I'd back to you, Richie.
It is, and when I read that about when you mentioned it, and your careers change now quite a lot, and I think you get to our age and you're kind of 45 and you think you think you're old in some ways, but then I keep on reflecting back to myself. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm going to be living to 80 plus nowadays. So actually, our careers can change and adapt, and that's really good. Like Chris, my business partner now at MLP, I often talk to him about. He's an entrepreneur. I met him. He brought me into his business, and I wanted to learn from him about the entrepreneurial kind of life. And I often said to him, I wish I'd left corporate earlier. And he goes, no, you don't, because actually that experience is what's framed what you know now. And actually that experience is invaluable. So having that 10 years in corporate where you understand how to work a brief, how to work with different stakeholders, creating propositions from scratch, all those learnings that at the time you're like, understand compliance and legal and all those stuff. That's a massive benefit now when I'm going in talking to clients, because I can go to them and go, yeah, I've sat in your chair, I know what it's like, and it's the same now. My career now, I'm like, who knows what's going to happen in the future, but my career now is shaping what I want to be in the future. And the same with you guys. Your careers have gone in different directions. Isn't that joyful?
It certainly is, and I actually think the thing that really threads it together is the need and desire to go after what's fulfilling.
Yeah.
What you talked about that just now, where you said something didn't feel right, and you felt hemmed in. What a lovely phrase. And therefore, I think too many people, when they were in that moment of feeling hemmed in, don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And it's actually you got your elbows out a bit. You tried something different. You tried something new. Something didn't work out, but something that then led you to the path that you're on today.
100%.
The time has whizzed by in a flash, Si. So this is the last question, really. But it's in and around sort of this notion of careers. As you say, careers are many different things today. And of course, we're all going to have extended ones as we go through. But if you were going to give your younger self some advice about your career, what advice would you give your younger self?
I think there's a few bits of advice that I'd give my younger self. I think so. I've got 3 boys, and I give them 3 things. That's my job. So I say to them, "What's my job?" But ever since they've been young, I always say, "What's my job?" And I get them to repeat it to me. The 15-year-old now rolls his eyes when I say it. And the 3 things that I say to him is, my job is 1, to keep you safe. 2 is to help you find what makes you happy, is the second one. And 3 is to turn you into a good human being. And they're my advice. That would be my advice to anyone. Find what makes you happy. Find what makes you happy. Find what you're passionate about, and just go for it. And expect sometimes the unexpected. So, my brother, who is so flip back a little. I've got a brother. I've got 2 brothers and a sister. My middle brother, Phil, He was the posh one of the family, we'll call it. He was the first one out of all these cousins to go to university. And he's a few years older than me. And he went into marketing. And he was like my idol, you know. And I asked him one day, what do you do in your day-to-day job? And he explained to me, he was like, come up with ideas. And he worked for Levi's and he did all kinds of amazing jobs. It's like, what do you do? He went, well, come up with ideas and, you know, work out how to sell stuff to people. I was like, I'll do that then. Mm-hmm. And that's how I got into marketing. Now, when he was 43, he had a major stroke. And he lost the ability to speak. He has aphasia, it's called, which is like you can speak words, but not like really structured sentences and stuff like that. And he had to change his career. You know, he was starting from scratch again. It didn't let him stop. It didn't stop him. So he now lives in Australia. Moved to New Zealand, went to Australia. Remember, he still, at this moment, has aphasia. He now works on developing an app for people with aphasia. He got funding from the Australian government to develop an app to help people with aphasia. He became a photographer. He sells stuff online. It didn't let him stop him. And he's the most positive person you will ever meet. Yet the worst thing happened to him at the age of 43. And that is a thing that I would say to anyone in the career. You can do anything. It's and sometimes when bad things happen, good things come out of it. And yeah, I think the big one is stay positive, be good to work with, have fun along the way, enjoy the journey, and have an amazing life.
There you go. Great end to a great conversation. Thanks, Si. It's been a pleasure.
No problem. Thank you, Si.